So, welcome everybody to our Nomasis webinar. Thanks for joining. My name is Patrick and I'm pleased to introduce you to Philip, our Nomasis security engineer, who will be presenting today. Today's webinar is about smartphone caller identification, who is calling me, and the session will last about 25 minutes. Please notice that the webinar will be recorded and during the presentation, your microphones will be set to mute and your camera is switched off. You may post questions during the session through the chat function to the host. The questions will be then answered at the end of the session. Now I'd like to hand over to Philip. Philip, please start your presentation.
Thank you, Patrick, and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Philip, as he already said. I'm mobile security engineer at Nomasis since now nearly 8 years. And today we will get deeper into the question, who is calling me on my smartphone? Who hadn't the pleasure of a phone call from an unknown number which you ignored, but you should have picked up because it's an internal colleague or maybe even a customer? We will cover some parts. Why is the caller identification part such an important feature and is more important than ever? Then we will delve into how it works, discuss some challenges of it, and then explore some secure solutions we could provide. We also look at real-world use cases that illustrates its benefits, and finally we will have a session to answer your questions. Let's start with a reality check. In today's world, many of us are equipped solely or mostly with a smartphone and also a tablet, but the smartphone has a really important role in communications nowadays. These devices are our lifelines. They keep us connected to our work, our families, and our world, especially when we are on the move. The ability to know who is calling us before we answer the phone, it's not just a convenience anymore. So now the question, who is calling me? Who is that exactly there on the other end I would have to take up? How often have you hesitated to answer a call because you didn't recognize the number? Or perhaps you missed a crucial call because the number wasn't identified. And on the flip side, the other side, how often have you wished you could have reached a colleague quickly without fumbling through your outdated contacts? And another thing is, do you have your corporate address book also available offline so you could quickly check who's this guy or how can I contact a colleague or a customer? So this brings us to the heart of our today's topic, the caller identification. To maybe understand it just a little as a start, first, how does this caller identification even work? Or anyway, how does a call setup works in the world of our smartphones? Caller identification, or caller ID as we all know it as well, seems straightforward. When someone calls, you see their number, and if they're in your contacts, you see their name. However, behind the scenes, it's a bit more complex. First, when you giving a call, this call is set up, then it will be transmitted with all the information. The service provider will then try to look up the phone number you are calling, to route it to the correct phone, and also maybe you can already find out who is it. And a big thing here is there are hundreds of local and long distance carriers, consolidations, mergers, etc. So there's no local or no central authority behind. So everybody, there's like a many really big phone books where your number could be in, and then it's forwarded to the right location. And when it's reaching your phone, there is probably displayed your number, but not the name. Only if it's like if it's in this database, which is called calling name or CNAME, then it could be directly shown, but that's not for sure. And the problem is those calling name databases are mostly private, and there are really multiple of private companies who are doing it, and each service provider could use another CNAME database. So it's not sure that your number and your name is in the right database. So your caller ID name information could vary, it could be outdated or even missing. So why is this caller identification so critical? If you see a recognized caller ID, you are more likely to answer the call, leading to a better communication. It also builds trust and credibility, knowing who is on the other end of the line. That could also prevent your fraud and identity theft. It enhances efficiency by helping us managing and prioritizing calls. Caller ID also supports technologies that filter and block unwanted calls, which is a growing concern in our spam-heavy world nowadays. And as always, there are also challenges. Of course, there could be like caller ID spoofing, so you could try to be somebody else, you display different number or name. So that's a method that is used for scamming, harassment, and or bypassing spam filters. There are preventions of it, but not all phones and services are really secure of that thing. Then there are some reliability issues. There could be technical limitations or error in the telecommunication infrastructure, which could lead to incorrect caller IDs. On older or basic phone systems, the modern caller ID technology could not be supported, so there are also some technology limitations. And a big thing nowadays, also like we discuss, or we are just in a big meeting today, the VoIP standard and other internet-based calling services are also a big thing that services with caller ID could not be implemented, or the ease with which identities can be masked online. And on the other side, there are also some security features and also concerns. A big thing, I think, is also the GDPR compliance, especially in Europe, a big thing where you have to be like privacy laws compliant and ensuring protection against spam and the reliability of caller ID data. Also be cautious here, even if you have a spam protection feature, there could always be like false negative and false positive scenarios, like where you maybe fail to block the actual scam you would like to, or you could block legitimate calls, then it would be a false positive. Security and privacy are at the forefront of the caller ID technology. Compliance with legal standards is crucial, and relying on third-party apps can introduce security vulnerabilities, especially if these apps are not from reputable sources or lack adequate security measures themselves. And we must understand these risks to protect ourselves and our data. In terms of privacy, knowing who has access to our data and how secure it is vital. We must demand transparency and control over our personal information to safeguard our privacy in the digital age. There are parts like data access and permission where it's really important because caller ID apps may require access to your personal contact lists and call history. On the data security side, it's important to ensure that these apps secure your data against breaches. On the third-party apps, there are risks, so be cautious of apps that share your data with advertisers or other third parties you don't know when it's what's going on the background. Then, as always, there are also some legal compliances, so apps must adhere to privacy laws which vary by region. And a big, and I think also an important thing, is the transparency and control. Choose an app that lets you control what data is shared and how it is used. So not that the app is forcing you on how to use the app, but that you have the functions and control mechanism to really only share that data you really want to give your users. Now let's talk about solutions we offer from our side, or we have really good, we are really working a lot together with. There's on one side, there is the EBF Contacts app, which is a product of one of our partners. We really work a lot together. And on the other hand is CyraSync, which is also a great tool to share our contacts internally. And one big feature of both solutions is we don't synchronize to Apple iCloud or Google Cloud. So we have really the company data in those apps, and it will not be saved in the private Apple iCloud or Google Cloud. So when the device will be retired or removed from the organization, they don't have access in the iCloud to those contacts. They will be removed and they are gone. I think also a big advantage compared to other manual solutions which are on the marketplace. And it's also providing a layer of security which not Let's dive a bit deeper into the first of those two apps. That's the ABF Contacts app. So you're really in contact or in touch with all your internal colleagues and contacts of your exchange or on your GALs or your global address list, everything you could share to your devices. It's a cool feature that you can establish a connection to Exchange Online and or on-prem services or a service. And if you have like more or like a different and big wide range of contacts list you would like to share to your devices, then you could also use like an encrypted zip file, which is hosted on one of your or on a file server you have. And in there you can have multiple JSON or CSV files with the user data. So the app will access this zip file, gets the encryption password, and then can use all the data which is in there and can use them from the app. It synchronizes regularly, so if you do changes on your lists, it could be on your phone in I think 15 to 20 minutes or maybe half an hour, but then the change is on your device, so it's really synchronizing regularly. Displays the contact data you would like to see on the device. So if you say I only need the phone number and name of my colleagues, that's fine. Or if you say no, I need more, I also want to know in which office he's working, what is his mail address, maybe the office building and everything. So you could really customize it to your needs. Then it's displaying the contact data when you're getting the call. And the good thing is also that you can arrange the data how it should be arranged. Like I want to see the name first, then maybe the office, and then the department, or I want to have the name first and then directly the company location, or however you want to have it. And it also stores corporate contacts securely with encryption on the smartphone, and the app is then secured with a PIN code, or if you activate it and allow it, it's able to use Face ID or Touch ID to unlock the app. So it's one app. You have all your contacts of your users in there, and it's secure, so nobody else can get to the data. On the other hand, CyraSync, also a really great and big tool, can also like have more or less same functionalities with EBF contacts. You can synchronize all your global address list, your whole global address list. But you could also synchronize some shared calendars if you want to. You could have the synchronization of public folders if you need to, and also a bit more newer function. You could also make a synchronizations with your CRM contacts. The admin who is managing the solution has one central dashboard to manage the user, which user gets what. So it's not like everybody gets the same, but you could really say the HR maybe gets everything, but the guys which are on the field only get the contact from their department or whatever. So you could really granularly control the thing you want to push. There's no server needed. You don't need a client. You don't need a desktop or anything. It's a cloud solution, and you can push it directly into the Outlook app, for example, of your users. And the synchronization of the contacts is automated. So also here, whatever you configure, but for example, every hour the list will be automated, synchronized. So we're now nearly at the end. Short comparison of those two features, of those two apps. They have really both have more or less the same functionalities and features. One have the CyraSync has more the advantage that it can also access some other data like calendars or public folders, and the CRM data. And the EBF contacts is really cool because you can also use zip file with JSONs in there from a file share, so you wouldn't have to publish a connection to your Exchange server. You could sync different groups and rearrange the caller ID view. I would say both of them are really easy of use. So both have a really straightforward setup process, are user-friendly in the app, or are easy to use with Microsoft. So really nice to use. Both solutions work great with the ecosystem of Microsoft. I would say the EBF Contacts has a bit more of the main focus on secure contact management on your phone, but it also needs an additional app to work. On the other side, CyraSync directly synchronizes your contacts into the Outlook app, for example. And both have really strong security features. You have on the CyraSync side, you have some services and some features you can activate and deactivate on the dashboard side that you are really GDPR compliant. That you, like, for example, the passwords of the users will not be stored in this solution. Data which is cached from Azure AD are in a secure database in the Microsoft Cloud and will be purged after 60 days, and yeah, many more features. And in the end, where can I use this, or what are the use cases here? First thing, for teams that are often in the field, such as sales representations, technicians, or delivery personnel, having access to updated contact information and caller ID, which can help them to identify calls from the office or from clients while they are on the move. Companies in sectors like banking or healthcare receive calls where security and identification are really important. Knowing who is calling can be crucial for verifying the authenticity of the call. And also in scenarios where quick response times are really crucial or critical, such maybe as emergency services or support desks, knowing the identity of the caller immediately can aid in prioritizing the response. So now we are at the end of the presentation, and I'm happy to answer your questions if there are any.
Thank you very much. So there is one question which asks, can you tell us something about the pricing? That's on my end, Philip. I will respond that. Yes, of course, you can approach us at any time to know the pricing details. It hardly depends on how much devices, how much licenses, which services you would like to have. I just say a number. It is about 2 Swiss francs per device and month maximum. Then the next question is, what is the advantage of these solutions over Microsoft Teams? With Microsoft Teams, I have all my contacts in my pocket.
Yeah, that's true. That's also something I mentioned, I think, nearly in the beginning. That Teams is a big just lost the word for it.
Yeah,
it's just a big problem. But I think still for like phone numbers, if you get a phone call of, or if you don't have Teams configured to also access and accept phone calls directly, not only Teams calls, also phone calls, you don't see the phone number of maybe your customer or your colleagues. You don't see them directly then.
So especially when maybe the call is not made via Teams, I see that internally in our place. If a colleague calls me not with the Teams app, but with the phone app from his mobile phone to mobile phone, then you're happy if you also have that information in your GAL and so also on the phone, and you have a caller ID identification. But it's clearly that if you use team telephony and you do calls with Teams from and to the company, then of course you have the caller ID ready on the device without such a solution. Then another question, Philip, is, are both apps offering API facilities?
Not sure about EBF contact, to be honest. But I would say so that you have some possibilities with ZyraSync, but also depends on or for which use.
The APIs are needed. Maybe we can take this up on one of our next service meetings.
Yeah, maybe.
Without saying the name. For PBX things, he says PBX. Yeah, that we really need to check.
Yeah.
I don't know this by heart.
I'm also not sure if it's possible or not, but we can check it and let you know.
Very good. So then last question is, does this solution work for iOS and Android devices?
Yes.
Okay. So both EBF contacts and ZyraSync work
both.
for iOS and Android smartphones.
Both can be set up for both, yes.
Perfect. So if there are no further questions, we will end the webinar at this point. Thank you very much, Philip, for your time to prepare and present this to us. It was very interesting. If you need any more information, if you need a demo, if you would like to have a demo or try the solution, don't hesitate to contact us. We are here for you. And also have a look at our next webinars. 23rd of May, we will have a joint webinar together with Apple, talking about managed Apple ID and services, introducing the newest features there. And the 27th of June, before the summer holiday break, we'll have one last webinar talking about MFA, multi-factor authentication, together with PointSharp and YubiKey, so phishing resistant two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. Thanks again to you all for joining, and have a nice evening, and talk to you soon again. Thank you.
Have a nice evening. Yeah, thank you.